At the end of 2023, you know how we always be like, oh, at the end of the year, we're going to make plans for the beginning of the year. I did that. You know what I'm saying? At the end of 2023, my plan was to go to Colombia, remove my ass shots, shoot music videos for songs that I already had. And I followed that.
All right, y'all, we need to talk about this because this right here, this might be one of the biggest moves in Cardi B's career. So boom, Cardi just dropped a major bombshell and fans are still trying to process it. She basically said after her next album, she's done with English hip hop. Yeah, you heard that right. She's talking about fully stepping into the Spanish music market. No English, no half and half. She said she's going all in. And honestly, this didn't just come out of nowhere. Cardi was speaking real casually, joking, vibing, but what she said was actually very serious. She made it clear that after she drops her next English album, she's shifting completely into Spanish music. And her reasoning? Simple. That's where the money is. Now, some people might hear that and think she's just talking, but she's actually not wrong. The Latin music industry has been exploding globally, and artists like Bad Bunny and Peso Pluma have been dominating streaming charts worldwide. We're talking billions of streams. We're talking sold-out global tours. We're talking crossover success that doesn't even need English anymore. So Cardi saying she's going to tap into that lane, that's a calculated move. Let's be real for a second. Cardi B already has the foundation. She's bilingual. She's Dominican and Trinidadian, so the cultural connection is already there, and she's been testing the waters in Latin music. Think about her past collaborations. She's not new to this space at all. Plus, the Latin music market in the US alone recently crossed the $1 billion mark, and globally it's growing even faster. So when Cardi says she's going to get that Spanish money, she's looking at long-term power moves.
Well, what I really wanted to tell y'all, right? Because you know how I did my little statement for that Groga stuff? I really want to let y'all know how that came about, okay? So I'm going to let y'all know how that whole Groga thing really came about 3 years ago, like around 2024. So at the end of 2023, right, my career felt really weird. I know that if I was consistent with the music, I was going to be back up where I want to be. But it was hard for me to be consistent with the music because my ears were shut down. I didn't like no songs. I didn't like nothing that was coming up with. I didn't like nothing that other people was coming up with. You know, sometimes when you like shut down and you don't feel like you have done everything and you have heard everything. Sometimes I'm like that even with clothes. That's how I felt when it came to my creative space. I didn't like what I was doing. I was doing things with Cardi. I was doing things with other people. And it's like, I just didn't like what nobody was coming up with. So it was hard for me to be consistent with music. I did had a couple of songs, but I was like, I'm not really sure if I wanted to put them out. But then, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. At the end of 2023, you know how we always be like, oh, at the end of the year, we're going to make plans for the beginning of the year. I did that. You know what I'm saying? At the end of 2023, my plan was to go to Colombia, remove my ass shots, shoot music videos for songs that I already had, and I followed that, and everything went down the drain. Let me tell you, I shot like what, you know what I'm saying? I shot like what, and while I shot like what, I was in Colombia recording songs, like I did like what, and then I went straight to Colombia to remove some of my ass shots. Right, while I was in Colombia, I had this really weird sadness that I was like, no matter, like, I want to continue to follow with my plans, but I was so depressed that I couldn't continue with my plans like I wanted to. I came back from Colombia and I shot the music video for Enough.
Can she dominate that market the same way she did hip hop? Now, this is where things get interesting because the Latin music industry, it's not easy to break into at the top level. It's a whole different audience, different sound, different expectations, different competition. Even Cardi herself admitted in past interviews that making a full Spanish album comes with pressure. And let's be honest, fans in the US who don't speak Spanish might feel a little left out, but at the same time, music is universal. People already vibe to songs they don't fully understand, so that might not even be a problem. Now here's where things get deeper, because Cardi didn't just wake up one day and decide this. She actually opened up about going through a very difficult period around 2023-2024. She talked about feeling creatively stuck, not liking the music she was making, not feeling inspired, and that kind of mental block that can hit any artist no matter how big they are. On top of that, she went through personal challenges, including unexpected life changes and emotional struggles that slowed her down. She even admitted that she had plans that completely fell apart. And instead of forcing things, she paused, she recalibrated, she started thinking bigger than just music. One thing about Cardi, she's always thinking about money and legacy. She made it clear that she doesn't want to rely only on music endorsements or performances forever. She wants to build something bigger, an empire, something that lasts. And part of that strategy, expanding into new markets, new audiences, new revenue streams. So this Spanish crossover move, it's not just about music, it's about positioning. Cardi also hinted at something else, the pressure, the competition. She talked about feeling like people were coming at her while she was already going through a tough time. And instead of reacting, she chose to stay quiet and observe. That's actually a very strategic mindset, because in this industry, timing is everything, and Cardi clearly feels like now is her time to pivot. Here's what we know. She's still dropping another English album. That album might be her last in hip-hop. After that, full Spanish transition. So we're basically watching a career shift in real time, and depending on how she executes this, it could either take her to a whole new level globally, or completely change her fan base dynamic. Now, when news like this hits, you already know the media goes into overdrive, and that's exactly what's happening here. The conversation around Cardi B potentially stepping away from English hip-hop after her next album has sparked debates across entertainment blogs, reaction channels, industry analysts, and even casual fans on social media. Some people are calling this a genius business move, while others are questioning whether it's too risky at this stage of her career. A lot of media outlets are framing this as Cardi leaving hip-hop, but that might actually be an oversimplification. What she's really doing is repositioning herself. There's a difference. Hip-hop built her brand, yes, but Cardi has always been more than just a rapper. She's a personality, a businesswoman, a cultural figure. So transitioning into another dominant genre doesn't necessarily mean she's abandoning one. It could mean she's expanding her reach. From an industry standpoint, this move aligns with a larger trend we've been seeing over the past few years. The global music market is shifting. English is no longer the only dominant language in mainstream music. Platforms like Spotify and YouTube have made it easier for non-English songs to go viral worldwide. We've seen Spanish records, Afrobeats, and even K-pop dominate charts without needing to fully adapt to English-speaking audiences. That changes the game completely. Media analysts are also pointing out that Latin music isn't just growing, it's becoming one of the most influential forces in the industry. And artists like Bad Bunny didn't just succeed, they redefined what global superstardom looks like. So Cardi stepping into that lane isn't random, it's strategic timing. However, not all reactions are positive. Some critics argue that Cardi might face challenges maintaining the same level of dominance she had in hip-hop. They point out that while she has crossover appeal, the Latin market already has deeply rooted stars with loyal fan bases. Breaking into that space at the top level requires consistency, authenticity, and strong musical output, not just star power. There's also the fan perspective. Some longtime fans feel conflicted. They've supported Cardi through her rise in hip-hop, and they're not sure how to feel about a full transition. Language barriers could create distance, especially for listeners who connect more with her personality and storytelling in English. At the same time, others are excited, seeing this as a new era and an opportunity for growth. From my own analysis, this move feels less like a risk and more like a calculated evolution. Cardi has always shown that she understands trends, culture, and timing. She knows when to speak, when to stay quiet, and when to make a big move. And right now, the global music landscape is wide open for artists who are willing to step outside traditional boundaries. Another key factor here is longevity. Artists who stay in one lane for too long often struggle to evolve. By stepping into a different market, Cardi is essentially refreshing her brand and opening new doors. That could extend her career far beyond what a typical rap trajectory might look like. But execution will be everything. If the music connects, if the visuals hit, and if she fully commits to the culture, not just the sound, then she has a real chance of dominating that space. If not, it could feel like a temporary experiment rather than a permanent shift. At the end of the day, the media will continue to debate this, fans will continue to react, but the real answer will come down to results. Streams, charts, tours, and impact. That's what will determine whether this move was genius or just a moment. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to Task Spectrum West TV, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to hear what y'all think about this move, and I'll catch you in the next one.